Imagine waking up in a world where every moment is a barrage of notifications, where opinions fly faster than truth, and where your value is often measured by likes, followers, and fleeting attention. You scroll your phone before you even get out of bed. The headlines scream outrage. Your mind is already pulled in 100 directions. Now imagine in the midst of this chaos, a man from 2,000 years ago, wearing a simple cloak, carrying no phone, no calendar app, no digital distractions, looking around and asking only one question: what is within my control? That man is Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and Stoic philosopher, who ruled over millions, yet lived as if his real kingdom was his own mind. But the question we ask today is this: if Marcus Aurelius woke up in our modern world, with its relentless noise, temptations, and instant gratification, how would he live? And more importantly, what could we learn from him to live better, calmer, and wiser? Chapter 1. Ancient Mind in a Modern World. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire at war, faced plagues, political conspiracies, and personal loss. Yet he wrote daily in his meditations, not for an audience, but to remind himself of the principles he wanted to live by. If he lived today, he wouldn't waste hours in comment sections arguing with strangers. He wouldn't scroll endlessly, comparing himself to curated highlight reels. Instead, he would likely approach technology as a tool, not a master. Where most of us are reactive, pulled into the whirlpool of constant stimulation, he would pause, breathe, and ask, is this essential? Does this align with my values? His mornings wouldn't start with a news feed, but with quiet reflection. His nights wouldn't end with the blue glow of a phone, but with writing down his thoughts, victories, and failures, learning from each day. In a world addicted to speed, Marcus would choose intentional slowness because he knew true control comes not from ruling over others, but from mastering the self. Chapter 2. The Stoic Shield Against Modern Stress. Today, anxiety rates are soaring, not because life is objectively harder than in ancient Rome, but because our attention is constantly under siege. Marcus faced the collapse of cities, betrayal from trusted generals, and the death of his children. Yet he returned to one unshakable truth: external events are not ours to command, but our responses are. If he lived now, he wouldn't be scrolling through alarming headlines for hours. He would limit his exposure, focus on what he could act on, and let the rest pass like clouds in the sky. When others lash out on social media, he would respond, if at all, with patience, or perhaps with silence, understanding that not every provocation deserves an answer. His calm wouldn't come from ignorance, but from a deep discipline in choosing where to invest his mental energy. The modern world bombards us with reasons to feel powerless. Marcus would remind us that power is not given. It is cultivated, moment by moment, in the mind. Chapter 3. Discipline in a Distracted Age. The hardest thing today is not finding information. It's controlling our impulses. Every app, every platform is designed to hook us, keep us scrolling, keep us consuming. But Marcus Aurelius lived by a discipline that wasn't about punishment, but about clarity of purpose. If he lived now, his phone would not be a portal for endless distraction, but a curated tool with strict boundaries. He might have social media, but he'd use it with intention, posting only what served a higher purpose, ignoring vanity metrics. He would not chase every trend because he knew that fame is as fleeting as morning dew. Instead, his discipline would manifest in daily habits: waking early, physical exercise, reading deeply, serving others. While most people are slaves to their devices, Marcus would remain their master. This is the kind of discipline that does not restrict freedom. It creates it by freeing you from being controlled by your impulses. Chapter 4. Integrity over popularity. Marcus knew that the praise of the crowd is as temporary as their anger. In our time, where everyone is pressured to craft an image, gain followers, and present a perfect life, he would reject the temptation to live for external validation. He would measure his worth not by applause, but by the strength of his character when no one is watching. If an opportunity came that compromised his principles for quick gain, he would walk away without hesitation. In a world obsessed with optics, Marcus would remind us that the truest form of success is being able to look at yourself in the mirror and know you did not betray yourself. Chapter 5. Modern Stoicism in Action. Let's imagine a few scenarios. If Marcus Aurelius faced online criticism, he wouldn't rage tweet. He would pause, consider whether the critique held truth, and if not, let it go. If offered a shady but profitable business deal, he would refuse, knowing that no gain is worth the cost of one's integrity. If the algorithm rewarded outrage, he would resist, choosing to spread wisdom instead of feeding the fire. If his friends were lost in gossip and superficial chatter, he would listen politely, but steer the conversation towards something meaningful. In traffic, he wouldn't curse at the delay. He would use the time to think, to breathe, to observe his own emotions. Marcus's life would be a constant practice of turning challenges into exercises for the soul. Every inconvenience an opportunity to strengthen virtue. Chapter 6. Emotional mastery in the face of chaos. Most people today are quick to react and slow to reflect. Marcus would reverse that order. When provoked, he would first master his breathing, and his words, then his actions. He would treat emotions like a strong horse, powerful, but in need of direction. Instead of denying feelings, he would channel them toward productive ends. Anger could become the fuel for justice. Sadness could deepen compassion. Fear could sharpen preparation. In a society that rewards outrage and emotional outbursts, Marcus would stand out simply by his ability to remain composed. Chapter 7. The courage to live differently. Living like Marcus Aurelius today would mean resisting the pull of the crowd. It would mean valuing depth over speed, meaning over attention, virtue over popularity. It would mean being okay with not having an opinion on every trending topic, not needing to project an image at all times, not fearing to be misunderstood. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, Marcus would focus on being steady. And that takes courage, because standing apart often feels like standing alone. But the paradox is, the more you live by your values instead of the crowd's approval, the freer you become. Chapter 8. Lessons we can steal today. If we distilled Marcus's modern life into actionable lessons, they might be these. Control your attention like a king guards his gates. Begin each day with reflection. End each day with review. Limit the noise in your feeds, in your conversations, in your mind. Use technology to serve your goals, not to erode them. Respond slowly, think deeply, act with integrity. And perhaps most importantly, remember that the measure of your life is not how much you have, but how much you remain aligned with your principles in the face of chaos. These are not glamorous lessons, but they are the ones that make life stable, meaningful, and resilient. Marcus Aurelius will never walk our streets or scroll through our feeds, but the wisdom he left us, the reminder that our minds are our kingdoms, and that virtue is worth more than approval, is timeless. If he lived today, he would not be overwhelmed, not because the world is kind, but because he would choose his response carefully every single time. And that's the challenge for us, to live in this noisy, restless age without letting it dictate who we are. You don't need to be an emperor to live like Marcus Aurelius. You just need to master the empire of your own mind.